Shalom Yarsha'Allah. Title of this video will be called Absolute Power Corrupts Absolutely. Israel judicial reform only leads to one thing, the M.O.T.B. So with that, I would like to say, Kal Halal, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahushai Bahashim, Ruchwa Qudash, Thawada, Yahweh for giving us Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of GMS who have the 100% spirit of Yahweh Shai in them. Double honors to the CT bishops, elders of GMS, our big brothers. Greetings and salutations to the brothers in this country and all over the world, prophesying in the true name of Yahweh Shai, which is none other than the power of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and anybody who are descendants from those people on their father's side. Shalom to those who are scattered abroad. I'm Yaquab, Lord willing, serving the King of the universe, King Yahushai, from the power of Yahweh. Once again, the title is called Absolute Power Corrupts Absolutely. Israel judicial reform only leads to one thing, the M.O.T.B. Why did I call it that? Through the Spirit, Lord willing, is because and basically this is a report that I just saw. This is breaking news, basically, what's going on over there in Israel, and what's going on over there is that it's a corrupt government, man. Now, they just passed a reform of legislation that gives power only to the government, all right, which is happening all over the world. That's why the key phrase what's going on now is sedition all over the world. And that's one of the major prophecies, future scriptures I want to get to show that we're in the last days, man. The major prophecy in the last days that there's going to be sedition. You got there's been things going on with our friends. I don't need to go through the sedition part of it because people in the know, you should know that, right? So you got what in France, I think the Prime Minister of France just made a public announcement saying, there's cops getting killed out there, getting shot down. And, France is always going to do something with the yellow jackets, whatever have you. Massive protest. You have in Greece, there's wildfires and things going on in Greece, and also there's been protests in Greece. But in case in point with Israel, again, they just passed a law that overran the Supreme Court. All right, which the Supreme Court is supposed to be the ones that kind of the mediator between the, that kind of overwrites and vetoes certain things, and has power over the government. But in this case, the Supreme Court is under the government. That's what this new law just passed, and it was so that's what just happened. So what happened? So why I call it corrupt, because that's what's really going on. All these major governments all over the world, which the forefront at is America, which is the major country, is the major tool, is the key government that the elite banking families use to pass policies all over the world. All right. Now we know that Israel and America, they're best friends. Okay, and so they mimic each other. And remember, government means literally to control. All right. So my point is that these governments that have power, all right, are corrupt. All right. And they're not for the people. Okay. They favor themselves. And that's what the politicians do. It's all the smoke and mirrors. You dummies vote every 4 years to get tricked. And your government, your society or your government gets worse, right? No laws really protect, especially for our people, nation of Israel, right? So anyway, with this law that's been reformed in Israel, it gives power onto the government, and whatever they want to do, they will do it. Ultimately, we know the men of the Lord, the Spirit of Yahweh Shai upon the prophets, we know that all governments around the world will come to one agreement, that all the governments, they agree to have a new world order. All right, all governments will be one government under one control of laws, set one system, which is a new world order system. Okay, which is prophesied in the scriptures. So this is what's going on. There's a reset in governments, reset in legislation that's not going to favor the people. It's not going to favor your elected officials. It's going to favor the government. Because what's the government going to do all around the world? They're going to do Revelation 3 and 10. They're going to try the whole world, right? So when the government mandates something, you can't veto that. You can't argue against that, right? It's going to come to a point where the government's going to say, look, you got to take this C-HIP, you got to take the M.O.T.B to live, or you're going to die. So this is what I see spiritually, Lord willing, what's going on over Israel and all over the world. Okay. So that was the intro to that. Okay. So I got these 3 videos I just want to bring to, to light what I saw this morning. We'll play 3. They're real quick clips, and I'll put them in the description, but we'll play them right now. Then I'll finish off with a few scriptures. Don't want to make it long. This is like a PSA announcement kind of thing. Reporting in to what's going on. Spirit of the Lord through by white prophecy. So let's play this real quick. Salakia, stupid commercials.
Streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv.
Bring that back.
Thousands of protesters are clashing with police in the streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, with burning wood being thrown at demonstrators and police charging at the crowds on horses. The tensions and violence follow the approval of the first major clause in Prime Minister Netanyahu's plan to overhaul the country's justice system. The vote was passed unanimously on Monday by Netanyahu's governing coalition after the opposition stormed out of the hall. Tens of thousands gathered outside the Knesset and Supreme Court in Jerusalem and blocked Tel Aviv's main highway. At least 22 people were arrested, some violently. This group of policemen punched a man several times whilst keeping him pinned to the ground, their colleagues blocking the view from onlookers. In Tel Aviv, the driver of a car rammed through crowds of demonstrators, fortunately only injuring 3 people. In the south of the country, near Beersheba, more scuffles between supporters and opponents of the judicial overhaul, leading to one security guard firing his gun into the air. Other texts of the controversial judicial reform are due to be voted on in the coming months. The opposition, who has denounced this bill as a threat to Israel's democracy, intends to continue responding with this mass mobilization.
Okay, next one that I got lined up here is this one.
The law was proposed and piloted by Netanyahu's government.
We will continue to strive for negotiations and reaching agreements. We are not giving up the chance to achieve a broad consensus. And I'm telling you, it's possible. In the coming days, the coalition will contact the opposition to initiate a dialogue between us.
The vote came after a stormy session in which opposition lawmakers chanted shame and then walked out of the chamber.
So lawmakers following are the vote results: 64 in favor, no objections, no abstainers. I hereby determine that fundamental law suggestion, amendment number 4, had passed in 3rd reading and is written into the book of laws.
The law has put full powers in the hands of the political leadership, represented by the ruling coalition. In the first reaction to the Knesset's decision, Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid announced he would appeal in the Supreme Court.
Today is a sad day, a day of the destruction of the temple, a day of a free hate. I look at the coalition celebrating and ask, what are you celebrating? That you are dismantling the Jewish state we have?
On the ground, the situation remains tense. Police clash in West Jerusalem with protesters who blocked the road leading up to the parliament and key buildings before and after the approval.
I'm so sad. I'm here for 3 days protesting and do everything I can. I sleep in a tent and my heart is broken. I really feel that, I don't know, if my future is lost.
The US considered the ratification unfortunate and said it believes major democratic changes need to work by consensus.
It was unfortunate that the vote today took place with the slimmest possible majority. We understand talks are ongoing and likely to continue over the coming weeks and months to forge a broader compromise, even with the Knesset in recess, and we will continue to support the efforts of President Herzog and other Israeli leaders as they seek to build a broader consensus through political dialogue.
Aside from Yair Lapid's call for a petition to the High Court of Justice, an Israeli political watchdog group has already filed an appeal. Experts don't have a clear answer whether the court will reverse the decision or not. But what is certain is the government will continue with other bills on the list for judicial review, and protests will continue with a hope to halt them. Mustafa Fatih, Ustiati World, West Jerusalem.
All right, let's see the next one. The next one is the last one here. All three videos will be in the description.
Customize your energy with a new Wawa recharger. Energy for every day. Gotta have a Wawa.
Akla reporting from a protest outside the Knesset in Jerusalem.
I've had to move away from that crowd, which was simply deafening as it expresses its rage and disappointment at the bill that Israel's parliament has just passed. There were talks of a compromise which was being organised by Israel's president and also the head of the union movement. That didn't go through. There were other last-minute talks during the vote in the parliament. They didn't succeed either. So what the parliament has passed is the most extreme version of this bill, and it is now law in this country. This crowd says that they have lost a battle, but they're going to be here for the war. And it's interesting because I've heard it reported that Benjamin Netanyahu says that they'll lose interest and that over the summer all this will die down. It's not my impression, having been stood in this crowd over the past week. Who says that they'll lose interest and that over the summer all this will die down. It's not my impression, having been stood in this crowd over the past week or so, and certainly today while they were listening to the vote. I have also heard it reported just now that what they're planning to do is lodge an appeal against this legislation limiting the powers of the court in the Supreme Court itself. So the court will have to decide on the limits to its own powers, and that will be a legal crisis such as Israel has never seen. That's on top of the other crises in the military and in the economy as well. So a great deal of disappointment and anger here, but a determination to continue.
Here's Makler reporting there from Jerusalem earlier.
All right, so I'll just continue on with some scriptures here. Let me just put it on something. I'll make it just play. Put it on this.
We are breaking into program to go to Israel.
All right, so the first scripture I'm thinking about is real quick is Luke chapter 12 and 40, verse 49. All right. Because again, and we're in the last days before our great King Yahweh Shai returns. The claim is thrown on earth, which the capital of the earth is our land, Israel, which, as you can see in the background with rainbow flags that they desecrated the covenant of the Most High, that it made a promise to our people that he will not destroy the world by water anymore. Now they've taken the promise that the Lord has given us, right, a covenant, and turned it into one of the, a totally demonic symbolism, man. Okay, but anyway, the Lord's going to cleanse that land and America, okay, by nuclear fire, because we're leading into World War III. But anyway, again, this is Luke 12 and 49 from the voice of our Lord. It reads, Lord King Yahushua says, I come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it already be kindled? Again, the Lord Yahushua says, I am come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it be already kindled? Okay. One of my favorite pastimes is like when I used to have a fireplace. How do you start the fire? You just don't start. You got to put like newspaper and things like that in it. But what keeps the fire going is kindling sticks, little twigs, whatever, or kindle sticks they're called. And you light it up, and the kindle sticks really start how should I say? Depends how that fire is gonna burn, So, and it starts the fire, okay? So again, in this society, the fire that the Lord's gonna bring by nuclear fire and overall by his holy chariots, which is gonna shoot laser beams, which is prophesied in the later days to burn this place, Babylon the Great America. There's already going to be a fire kindled already. Now fire that's kindled, what the Lord's talking about is basically civil unrest, all right? Sedition amongst the governments and the societies and the continents in the world, right? The mountains of the world. Mountains are the governments. So case in point in Israel, man, like you see all over the world, but we're talking about Israel here, our land, by the way, okay? It's already started. Okay, so to sedition, the people fighting against their government leaders, is biblical prophecy. If it wasn't happening, right? If this wasn't happening, and we're saying this, like government civil unrest and sedition, and they're literally not happening, then we look crazy. But the thing is, these things are happening. You see it right before your eyes. We're recording video right now, right? So these things are happening, man. You can't deny the prophecy. So again, so what if I already be kindled? So it's already kindling. Okay, so that's one I thought of. Matter of fact, let me get another one. Isaiah 14. One of my favorite scriptures to bring out. You can't stop the prophecies, man. These prophecies are set. All right, the prophecies of sedition, the prophecies of civil unrest, we're witnessing it right now. And you see it on all the major governments all over the world. Isaiah 14:24, it reads, the Lord of hosts has sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purposed, so shall it stand. Again, the Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass, and as I have purpose, so shall it stand. So what is the Lord of hosts, which is Yahushua, the Lord of armies, our King deliverer from the Son of the Heavenly Father, right? All their thoughts are going to come to pass, which their thought is ultimately prophecy, all right? The prophecies of the Lord King Yahushua claiming his throne on earth and saving his elect men, right? Saving the government body, because the people that he's going to save is the men and the friends and the families of the men, the wives and the children of men, but it starts with the men. So the Lord's come back to save the POWs, the prisoners of war, which are his cabinet, all right? His government leaders, his mayors, his governors, basically his kings, okay? The brethren, the elect, the 144,000 out of 12,000 out of each tribe, men that he's going to set up in our Father's kingdom, Abba Yahweh, the kingdom of Yasha Allah, the kingdom of Israel, man. Okay, King David and the rest, right? And that's what the Lord has thought, and it's going to come to pass. Prophecy. And it says, and remember, We're saying this before it happens, right? Who can literally say things? Well, we're saying it. The prophets are. Why? Because we have divine intervention, man, through the Holy Spirit to bring this stuff out. You people don't know what that was going to happen the next day tomorrow. But guess who knows? The Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, through his elect men, are bringing it out to you, man. And everything we're saying is actually happening, right? And ultimately, it's going to come to a point where all these governments, like case in point, like America, they're going to pass laws to favor the politicians, to favor the government. And that's the way it's always been set up. It was always set up to favor the politicians, to protect their pockets, to protect their business interest, which their business interest is the new world order, all right? A one world government, one world society, and to enslave the population and commit transhumanism by way of chipping you dummies out there, you sheeple, but not the elect. And this law is going to favor that. Because again, here the other guy, I forget his name, when he said he's going to appeal to the Supreme Court, but it doesn't matter. That's just for show. This reform overrides the Supreme Court. Now it says, so shall it come to pass, and I have purpose, so shall it stand. What's the Lord's purpose? That this whole world was set up for Israel to rule, the son of the Heavenly Father to rule on earth. All right, and for the Babylonians to be destroyed. I mean, not Babylonians, but the Babylon the Great, America, the mother of harlots, to be destroyed, man. Along with his sister, brother, whatever nation, Israel, man. And that's our land. By the way, Jewish means pertaining to. All right, you're not the real people. That's why you're going through all the hell you're going through over there. When the real people are set up in the land, in our land, Israel, which belongs to your Lord Yahweh Shai, from the power of our Father, all right, there will not be any sedition or uprising. There'll be little conflicts here and there in our kingdom, but will be quickly extinguished so we can have some fun. All right, that's what it says in I believe in Isaiah 6th chapter. I forget where exactly, or maybe Isaiah 60. I forget exactly where. You know what I mean? But overall, ain't gonna be nobody rising up against Israel in our kingdom, man. Yahshua. All right. There was another one. Let me get this edition one, and I'll finish off. This is this is Ezra's. Second Ezra 16, I believe. Second Ezra 16, and right to the point. I'm sorry, Second Ezra 15. And 16, it says, let's start from 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. That's right. Woe means destruction. So destruction onto the world and them that dwell therein, all the inhabitants of the world, the people. It said, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh. Right? And that's right. That's very clear. Right? Your sword is a war instrument that's going to bring death. So the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Modern day sword is the gun, like you see like you saw right there. Right? For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. And that's what's happening. You got the politicians, you got the police, the government officials against the pedestrians, the civilians, fighting against each other, throwing bombs, throwing what do you call it, cocktail grenades, whatever you call them, beating each other with sticks and bats, you know, et cetera, man. That's actually happening, right? It says, and one people and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition, among men. Sedition means civilians trying to overthrow their governments, government coups, etc. Right? For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princesses, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? A man shall desire to go into the city, and they should not be able. You can have blockades, certain what do you call them? Checkpoint stops. You know, you can't go to this state, you can't go to that state. People fleeing into the wilderness, power outages, people breaking into homes. You know what I mean? It's gonna get wild out here, man. All right, and it's gonna accelerate. We're living in the time of the greatest trouble the world has ever seen. Okay, and again, like I stated, they shall not regard their kings nor princesses. Right, so these people aren't regarding their right. Obviously, they're not regarding the reform. So that's why they're going to fight against this. But people are not going to win. The government, which means control, they're in control, man. And really, it's the Most High control who's purposing these countries to do what they do to cause this civil unrest. All right? And that was it I just wanted to bring out, just to do a quick report through the Spirit, Lord willing, and to, alert the body of what's going over there in Israel. And this is a good thing. See, people who believe in the Most High God power, which is Yahweh Shemashai, ultimately through his children, through the belief in our King Yahushua, we want these things to happen. We want more civil unrest. We want more chaos. We want martial law. And ultimately, we want to hear when they say breaking news, we mandate the CHIP. We mandate the M.O.T.B. Right? We want to hear that. Why? Because we know this is biblical prophecy, man. And we ready to fucking die for this word. Get beheaded, man. All right? We ready, man. All right? We ready to do what we got to do for Yahweh Shemai Shai, man. So fucking bring it, Esau. Bring your fucking shit now. All right? And if you're not ready, you got to pray for it. First and foremost, I'm saying it, so I pray for that, man. I don't want to die in anything else but doing the work of the Lord in his truth, man. All right? Just, cut off our heads because we ain't taking the chip. We're not taking that. All right? And the elect's not going to take it. So, with that, Salak, with that, I hope, Salak. Hope you were edified, and see you on the next one. And with that, Shalom. Kal halal, Yahweh Bashim Ashar Bashim Wokrap Wadash. Shalom. Kwame Ashala.